Hello, Math 8 scholars. Welcome back. This week we're going to be talking about trend lines and making predictions. So before we get started with this week's activity, I'd like us to go ahead and do a little exploration. If you really don't like doing the work or this particular work online, you may do this particular assignment in your textbook, and you could just snap a picture for me. It's in 14.2 and it's the first page, so the Explore number 1. So let's get to it. If you're choosing to do it via Google Classroom and the Google Drawing assignment, you can go ahead and interact with this assignment that's called Trendline and Predictions Exploration Activity. So before we get started, we need to know what a trend line is. So when a scatter plot shows a linear association, you can use a line to model the relationship between the variables. So this is a trend line. A trend line is a straight line that comes closest to the points on a scatter plot. So that's what you're going to be creating right now. So in part A, you're going to go ahead and interact with these 9 points here, these purple points, and you can go ahead and drag them to your graph. Okay, and I'm getting all of these points from right here, from my data in this table. Again, the book does go into detail about the situation of Joyce, and she's a runner and she's tracking her data. So I'll do the first one for you. So it seems as though she has ran 4 miles in 38 minutes. Actually pretty good. So I would take one of these points rather, and it doesn't matter which one. Okay, and I see that at 4 miles, she's gone about 38 miles. Sorry, at 4 miles, she's gone about 38 minutes. And so about there on the graph. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Notice how it's not quite touching 40 minutes. It's just below that amount. Okay, and I would continue to do that with the remainder of the points. So all 9 of those points should be on this graph somewhere. And then you can go on to part B. So you're going to use this pink line and drag it to your scatter plot in part A. Try to make a line that goes through as many points as possible and has the same amount of points on the top and bottom. Okay, so for instance, if after you plot all your points, it starts making a negative trend, you can interact with that pink line and make it negative. Okay, let me just make sure. Let me fix something real quick. So let's say I want to make this line negative. I want it to go through as many of those 9 points as possible. And again, when I'm done, you'll want an equal amount of points above and below the line. So the goal is to go either both through all of the points and to have a little bit above and below, but you want an equal amount. So if, for instance, you have, let's say the line's going through 3 points, you want to have 3 points above and 3 points below. So it's got to look like equal above and below. If you feel like your trend line is more positive in slope, like it's going upwards from left to right, again, you can interact with this line and you can drag it wherever you'd like, wherever you think it's the best fit. And again, it's called a line of best fit. Okay, that's not the answers. Okay, just to clarify that for you. Okay, and then moving down to part C, you're going to use your prediction line to determine when how long it would take Joyce to run 4.5 miles, and you would type your answer here. So based on your trend line, you're going to make that decision. Again, if my trend line is looking like this, I could look where it says 4.5 miles and I would state that amount. Okay, again, it all depends on what your trend line looks like. If your trend line looks like this for some reason, hint, it shouldn't. 4.5 miles. In this case, I would say, oh, it took her 50 minutes, okay? And going down here. And again, this is meant to be a full day's activity, so please give me something more than one-word answers. So you could say something like, according to my trend line, I predict that Joyce can run 4.5 miles in blank minutes. Obviously, you would need to give me something better than that, okay? And then reflect. How well do you think your trend line fits your data? explain. So this again should be 1 to 2 full sentences. You want to explain or justify why you feel you are correct and why your trend line does match the data. Okay, as always, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to Zoom Monday through Thursday from 2:30 to 3:15. This particular activity is due by Tuesday at 3:15. Okay, take care.